Is this good quality if I need to leave it?
No, you want to put it right there? No, no, it's fine. It's fine. Let's see. Three announcements. Okay, one, two, and then next Sunday. Actually, this one should be second because then they go in order. Parents Forum. Okay, and there will be, is that one that has the one that has food? Because I originally had childcare and food, or are kids coming? Right. No, that's the one I meant. In the library. Oh, I already said that. Childcare. Okay. I don't know. Thank you.
Welcome to the 1910 Second International Socialist Party Congress here in Copenhagen. Yeah! I am Clara Zetkin, and I am here to propose that we establish International Women's Day. Furthermore, I propose that we make the date March 8th to commemorate the demonstrations by women garment workers in the United States of 1857 and 1908. Let us also remember the courageous women of Lowell Cotton Mills in the state of Massachusetts. In 1834, these young women who worked 81 hours a week for a mere $3 repeatedly went on strike to call for a 10-hour workday and other reforms. Let us honor their work with International Women's Day.
Less than a week after the first International Women's Day was observed by over 1 million men and women in Austria, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory in New York City caught fire. The factory doors had been bolted on the outside to prevent walkouts by recently striking workers. The fire took 146 lives of women between the ages of 13 and 25, most of them Italian and Jewish immigrants. The employers were tried for their role in the tragedy. One was fined $20. A settlement was made with the families of the dead women for $75 per death.
Russia first celebrated International Women's Day in 1913. Other European countries followed suit the next year. Today, International Women's Day is an official holiday, often celebrated with parades and flowers for the women in all the former Soviet republics and many European and American countries.
Good morning. Welcome to First Parish Brewster, Unitarian Universalist, and happy International Women's Day. I'm Elenita Muniz, happy to be working today with Margaret Rice Moyer, Joanne Powers, and Lindsay Strauss, as well as Kaye Zafern and Anna Smith. We are grateful to all of you for being here, and to the many behind-the-scenes folks that make our Sunday morning services possible. As you have already seen, today's is an unusual service. We like unusual. So let's start right out with this. We frequently, most Sundays, wave to our people who are at home, but today we have a special job to do because our dear Nancy Burbrick, who with her sister Sylvia Stringer watches us every Sunday morning, is turning 105 this week. So, if you would all turn to the camera, we're going to sing happy birthday to Nancy. That's our opening hymn for the day. We love you, Nancy, and hope that you are well, you and Sylvia. I do have 3 announcements to make this morning. First of all, after today's service, all members of the church are invited to return to the sanctuary for a meeting at 11:30. This is an informational meeting hosted by the Board of Trustees, and it will be a follow-up to their October meeting, where we discussed plans relating to the investigation and resulting resignation of our former minister, Karen Anderson. Childcare will be available, and we hope we can all come at 11:30 if you're a member of the church. Next Sunday, there will be a parents' forum in the library following the service. Childcare will be provided, and that will be with Reverend Julia. We're looking forward to that. And we'll have lunch for the kids as well. And finally, in 2 weeks, please mark your calendars, it's Music Sunday. So it's going to be good, it's going to be about water, it's going to be fun, a little political commentary in the music. I think it's going to be great. So that's all of our announcements for today. Please, if you would, take a deep breath together. And let us settle our minds for worship. We are called together on this International Women's Day to reflect on the general query, how would the world be different if women were in charge? Each of us will come at this question from a different perspective, and we hope that you will join us after the service in the parish room to share your own reflections with us. Our chalice lighting this morning is excerpted from the words of Julia Ward Howe, written in 1870. Arise then, women of this day. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to raise our sons to injure theirs. In the name of womanhood and humanity, I earnestly ask that a General Congress of Women, without limit of nationality, may be held to promote the alliance of different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, the great and general interests of peace. If women were in charge, would there be war? How could we know? Where could we look to get any actual idea of what is important to women and to men? I like to use as an example the Treaty of Versailles that ended the Great War in 1919. Running to over 1,100 pages, this document took 11 years to compile and focused on punishment and reparation through the mechanisms of land grabs, control of natural resources, limitations on commerce, and decimation of the military resources of the Central Powers. It improved the Allies' economic position and sowed and nurtured the seeds of World War II. That is the Men's Treaty. However, 4 years earlier in 1915, some 1,300 women answered Julia Ward Howe's appeal. They crossed mountains, oceans, and battlefields to gather at The Hague for the International Women's Conference, with the express purpose of bringing about not only an end to the war, but also the establishment of a permanent global peace. The women were concise and to the point. Only 20 resolutions, contained in 5 pages and agreed upon in 3 days. Let me read the first 2 resolutions. I'm going to knock these bells down and make it easy. Okay. Number 1. We women in International Congress assembled protest against the madness and horror of war, involving, as it does, a reckless sacrifice of human life and the destruction of so much that humanity has labored through centuries to build up. Number 2, we oppose the assumption that women can be protected under the conditions of modern warfare. We protest vehemently against the odious wrongs of which women are the victims in time of war, and especially against the horrible violation of women which attends all war. I have to pause here for a moment. Over recorded history, an average of 50% of all the casualties of war have been civilians, sometimes much higher, sometimes a little lower. That's the average. That is women, children, and old people, who are the casual detritus of an army's forward impulsion. Right now, in Sudan, 12 million people are displaced, most of them women and children. In the recent capture of El Fasher, women and girls were methodically and systematically raped, from women in their 80s to babies of 6 months old. With or without an actual battlefield, the war against women continues unabated to this day. Last fall, Italy, not really your feminist kind of country, instituted a new crime, legislated a new crime of femicide. That is, the intentional killing of a woman motivated by gender-based hatred, control, or discrimination, often involving intimate partners. In other words, because she is a woman. And according to United Nations statistics, in the space of our service this morning, 7 women around the world will be murdered. Women have a stake in war and peace. It's personal. And the women at The Hague had a plan. They demanded an immediate end to the conflict. They asked neutral countries to offer continuous mediation to nations in disagreement. They said a permanent peace required that no territory should be transferred without the consent of the people living there. That future disputes should be referred to arbitration and conciliation. And that all nations should bring social, moral, and economic pressure to bear on any country which resorted to arms instead of going to arbitration. They pointed out that war is commonly brought about not by the mass of the people, but by groups representing particular interests, and so urged that foreign politics be subject to democratic control, which must include giving women equal representation and the right to vote. They called for the establishment of a permanent international court of justice. They called for a permanent international conference that included women, holding regular meetings to deal with practical proposals for international cooperation. In other words, the United Nations. Of course, they advocated for universal disarmament, saying, "We see in the private profits accruing from the great armament factories a powerful hindrance to the abolition of war." They argued that any investment by capitalists of one country in the resources of another should be made at the risk of the investor without claim to official protection of his government. All secret treaties should be void, and national commissions be convened to work in support of a permanent peace, and that these commissions must include women. Children must be educated to focus on the ideal of constructive peace. And they demanded that women be part of the peace conference that would end the Great War. Finally, lest these declarations be seen as simply theoretical, they charged envoys from among their membership to take the resolutions to the rulers of belligerent countries and to the President of the United States. These envoys were required to report back to the conference. In one visit, one of the women said to the president, "I apologize for what it must seem like foolish ideas." He is said to have slapped his desk and said, "Nonsense. These are the first sensible words I have heard in this office in many months." Women have always known that security is not defined by how many weapons one has, nor who has the biggest bomb. We know that security is a home where we are safe, enough food, good health care, a solid education, and a society that respects and values women and includes them in its decision-making. We knew it in 1915. We know it now. And we must continue to stand up for what is truly important in a peaceable world. Lindsay.
Dave's coming to help with this. Dave is coming. Dave's coming.
You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you so beset with gloom? Because I walk like I got oil wells in my living room.
Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope, springing high, still, I rise.
want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops weakened by my soulful cries.
Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awfully hard that I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes.
You may kill me with your hatefulness. Still, like air,
I rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise? That I dance like I've got diamonds.
at the meeting of my thighs.
Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise.
I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling,
I
bear in the tide.
leaving behind nights of terror and fear. I rise.
Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream
And the
hope
of the slave.
I rise.
I rise. I rise.
I rise.
I rise.
Please rise as you are able for our affirmation, printed in the order of service. Let's have each, as we've done recently, let's have this side face this way and then the other side. And stage left will do the first unitalicized, which is you guys, and then stage right will do the italicized. And remain standing for Spirit of Life. We believe in love.
Love is the doctrine of this church.
We believe in truth.
The quest for truth is the sacrament.
We believe in helping others.
And service is our prayer.
We believe in the sacredness of life.
To the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine.
Good morning. What a great day. So I'm going to talk about somebody that I know that everyone has heard about. I don't know, I'm assuming you guys have heard. Have you heard of Greta Thunberg? No? Oh, good. I have someone. Come on, guys. Little ones and big one. Come over. Come sit. So, out of these guys here, do you know who she is? Yeah, who is she? Do you want to say? Okay, do you know who she is? Okay, so she is an activist. She's still young, older than you are now, 23 years old as my daughter. But she started a movement. Do you know what kind of movement it was? No? Do you guys know, Braden? Climate change. So, we're talking a lot about these adults, right, adult women who have gone to the UN, have created International Women's Day, like all these big things, right? And I think when you're little, sometimes you think, when I grow up, I can do those things, but I'm little and so I can't. But that is not true. Greta Thunberg was only 8 years old when she started worrying about the environment and thinking about taking action. That's not that much older than you guys, is it? And it's older than you, Braden, and you, Molly, right? Yeah? So when she was 8 years old, she was like, we have to do something about this planet. This planet is, our environment is in trouble. And then when she was 15 years old, this little girl decided enough is enough already, right? And she's like, I'm gonna take action on my own. So she skipped school, and she went into her city with a sign to strike for climate. School strike for climate, a strike of one. Other friends walked by, adults walked by and kind of looked at her funny, right? But she just kept going every day. She kept skipping school. Sorry, parents. And she sat there, or she stood there with her sign, the same sign, strike for climate, school strike for climate, and slowly people started joining her. Some of her school friends started joining her. Some adults started joining her, right? To strike together. Okay? So she wanted to make a difference. And this 15-year-old started a movement. Slowly, right, as she was protesting, it got some press and publicity. You know what press is? Yeah. So news people came and were just talking to her and things like, this seems cool. But her standing there all by herself started not only the strike for school where she lived across the world, but it started movements and strikes all over the world. In America, right, where we live now. And so at 15, she started something that was then moved to Fridays for the Future. So every Friday there would be a protest, right? And as she grew older, it was called the Greta Effect, because she started a movement and was able to get everybody involved just as one little girl. So when someone tells you that you're too young, think of Greta, right? Because you can make a difference in the world. All right, here we go.
Today's offering is a split plate with the Family Table Collaborative. Their mission to produce and deliver nutritious free meals to families and individuals struggling with food insecurity, and to educate them about ways healthy food positively impacts people. This organization was nominated by the Building a Bigger Table Task Force. Your offering will benefit this organization as well as FPBUU, and details can be found in the order of service. The offering will be now gratefully received.
Is this thing on? I'm the cashier at the corner store, the neighborhood whore, the girl next door.
Fashion queen in a magazine, girl is seen on the porno screen.
Someone to help me, 'cause they're filled with jealousy.
Others mistreat me, they only want what they see.
Only want what they see. They only want what they see. But there's more.
More than meets the eye. More than meets the
There's
eye.
more.
More than meets the eye.
Now don't you see what's inside? Inside.
The media tells us it's sex that sells us. We get the message that we better measure up.
By our teens we've learned to fit the mold. Always be pretty, never, never grow old. And
Someone to hurt us, 'cause they're filled with jealousy.
others mistreat us, they only want what they see.
Only want what they see. They only want what they see.
But there's more.
More than meets the
So much
eye.
more.
More than meets the
There's
eye. More than meets the eye.
Ooh, now don't you see what's inside?
More than meets the
So much
eye.
more.
More than meets the
There's
eye. More than meets the
Ooh,
eye.
now don't you see what's
Beneath this breast, a heart is pounding. Under this hair of mine, resounding. In this chest, a heart is yearning. Under this hair of mine is learning. Beneath this breast, a heart is pounding. Under this hair of mine, resounding. In this chest, a heart is learning. Under this hair of mine is learning. Beneath this breast, a heart is pounding. Under this hair of mine, resounding. There's so much more inside.
This poem was inspired by Jane Cortez. We've got bombs, we've got missiles, we got aircraft, we got cyber systems, we got satellites. We've got intercontinental ballistic missiles. We've got B-52s, B-2s, B-1 bombers, the fighters, the tankers, the transports, the global hawks. We've got a Tomahawk, and even a bomb called the Peacemaker. Isn't everything wonderful? Except we have the destroyers, the cruisers, the aircraft carriers, and even the amphibian assault ships. We've got the Minuteman III, the submarine, and the underwater mines. But apparently, we don't have enough Patriot missiles. Everything is wonderful, but soon we won't recognize our arms race. The bombs will be launched from outer space. Machines without a conscience or empathy. Machines without an ounce of doubt. Drones, sensor, hypersonic, electrosonic, artificial unmanned systems, high-altitude area defense, and don't get me started. We haven't even mentioned the nuclear weapons. Everything is wonderful, wonderful. The U.S. spent $1 trillion on defense this year. I have no idea how many zeros that is. But when I looked it up, in simpler terms, it said, if we spend $1 every second, day and night, it would take us 31,000 years to spend that money. For the U.S. military, this translates into the more bombs, the safer we'll feel. Or as the anti-nuke activist Helen Caldicott says, our military has missile envy. In 2019, the U.S. under Donald Trump withdrew from the INF Treaty. That's the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, which is our major Cold War agreement. In addition, the New START Treaty that limits nuclear warheads expired this year. That means we have no brakes on developing new weapons. We'll have far more flexibility in creating new technologies of war. Are we safe yet? How would the world be different if women were in charge? As Alanita mentioned a moment ago about the World War I Women's Congress of 1915, they proposed way back when how to prevent future wars. But 111 years later, women are still fighting for peace. Peace that can't be brought about by missiles or nuclear arsenals. Our defense budget rises, our educational and healthcare budgets fall. Real security only comes from protecting our human rights. I've never considered myself a political person, mostly because I couldn't figure out how my little old problems had anything to do with the political machine. I didn't understand the correlation between my low pay working with children and the political agenda, until I noticed that the women that I worked with in daycare centers didn't have enough money at the end of the week to pay for their own children going to daycare. I didn't see how my college professor coming on to me all those years ago had anything to do with politics. I saw this sexual harassment as my own personal failing. I guess I thought I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But when I saw that many women were experiencing this same harassment, it became clear that this wasn't singular. This became a pattern that revealed the structure that condoned this behavior. The structure became the system that we all live within. I didn't think politics had anything to do with me until I studied the circumstances of my daughter's birth in China. Her birth parents had no control over their family planning, and due to the government's one-child policy and the country's social security system that was tied to having a son, The lack of educational and hefty fines and punishment that went on and on if people went against these policies. Families had no choice but to relinquish their girls for adoption, and sometimes much worse. This is a system failure. A whole generation of girls gone missing. These policies shaped our everyday lives, not just in communist China. When Roe v. Wade was overturned and the right to choose was no longer a constitutional right, I knew politics had everything to do with me. If my daughter didn't live in a state that protected her rights, she would lose her voice over her own choice and her health care. The Old Boy Network is alive and well and still in charge. If women were in a position of high political office, our priorities would shift to address our little old problems. These little old problems that affect our everyday lives: housing, education, childcare, healthcare. Peace is not sustainable without women's voices at the table. If we're interested in working to increase women's political power, if we're interested in disrupting the systems that hold women back, here are a few organizations that need your support. Vote Mama PAC, Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, Ukraine Response and Recovery, the Commission of Status of Women, Mother's Call, that's made up of Israeli and Palestinian mothers, UN Common Pledge, the Nobel Peace Initiative, and many more. Thank you.
This is a poem called Women Holding Things by Myra Kalman. What do women hold? The home and the family, and the children and the food, the friendships, the work of the world, and the work of being human. The memories and the troubles and the sorrow and the triumphs and the love. Men do as well, but not quite in the same way. Sometimes when I am feeling particularly happy or content, I think I can provide sustenance for legions of human beings. I can hold the entire world in my arms. Other times, I can barely cross the room, and I drop my arms, frozen. We've been talking so far in this service about what the world would look like if it was run by women. What would it be a more peaceful and just world? I'd like to ask a much smaller, more quotidian question. What would youth sports look like if mothers, instead of being relegated to bringing the snacks, driving the carpool, and sitting in the stands rooting for their kids, shed the pejorative label of soccer mom and came down from the bleachers and into the coach's box and onto the board of directors? I happen to know. It's true. I happen to know because I literally had a front row seat as one woman, who happens to be the mother of my 42-year-old triplet sons, and who I worked alongside for 20 years as an editor and writer for the youth sports parenting and safety website momsteam.com, did exactly that. When the soccer program in our town, run by men, decided to cut some boys, our sons included, from the travel soccer program, supposedly because there were not enough kids or a coach to field a fourth team, what did Brooke and I do? Over the vociferous objections of the powers that be, we started our own travel soccer club, gained membership in the county youth soccer organization, and fielded a team with Brooke as the coach. Some of the parents, once they learned that a woman would be coaching their 6th and 7th grade sons, told her they wouldn't be surprised if their sons quit after the first few practices, angry and embarrassed to be on a team of also-rans, especially one coached by a woman. Heaven forbid. Nevertheless, as Elizabeth Warren so famously said, Brooke persisted. The rest, as they say, was history. 18 5th and 6th grade graders, many with attention, aggression, communication, and self-esteem issues, became a group of boys who respected themselves, one another, and their coach. A team that held its own in scrimmages against the town's Division I and Division II teams. A team that was awarded a trophy for sportsmanship at a Memorial Day tournament. And a team that went undefeated until the semifinal of the league's postseason tournament. And ultimately, a team that Brooke and I took after being invited to play in a sportsmanship tournament in far-off St. Andrews, Scotland. As Brooke recounted in her 2006 book, Home Team Advantage, the critical role of mothers in youth sports, she came to realize that essential to the team's successful season, success she measured not so much in the wins and lone loss, but in the physical and emotional growth of the players, were her instincts as a mother to nurture, encourage, emotional openness, and value fair play, cooperation, connectedness, and doing one's best over winning. She challenged the assumption that for better or for worse, competition in youth sports should be defined not solely by winning and losing and displays of power, dominance, and control, but one where all players did their best and respected their teammates, opponents, and the rules, where competition is balanced with cooperation, and to think about sports not just as a place to showcase the gifted and talented, but as a place where all children can begin a love affair with sports and physical exercise lasting a lifetime, instead of ending, too often is the case, in early adolescence. That is what youth sports might look like if women were in charge.
Love is Not Concerned by Alice Walker. Love is not concerned with whom you pray or where you slept the night you ran away from home. Love is concerned that the beating of your heart should kill no one. If God were a woman, what might this world look like? If God were a woman, all my favorite poems would come true. Humans would greet each other with curiosity, interested in who you are. We would walk lightly on our earth and delight in our natural abundance. Strangers would be friends we simply haven't yet met. Strength would be measured by character rather than wealth. Not a swapping of the power dynamic, but an elimination of its excesses. If God were a woman, the new world order would look like a circle dance, moving in unison, hands and hearts connected, in love with the world and determined to save her. If God were a woman, all the sweet promise of the newborn would be the lens with which we view the future, filled with possibilities. Not power over, but power within. Beings free to grow into their fullest potential, not the meanest sliver of potential allocated by an unjust system. Those who bring forth life would not choose to waste it playing war games and craving control over others' bodies. According to Native theology, the earth is female, giving life to all things. She who loves each leaf, each raindrop, each blade of grass, each possum, each child, each thing that breathes and grows. Men of power seem to miss that little point, favoring the big, the pretentious, the unnatural, and the concrete. We might ask then, why not give something new a try? Why not give women the opportunity to do it better, kinder, smarter, gentler, more sustainable? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying all women are all good, nor am I suggesting that all men are evil. This is not an individual failure, but a systemic one. You go. It's a systemic failure, and it's not simply a case of inclusive language, but one of inclusive thinking, dreaming, and creating. As with all inequalities, women's rights are human rights. You've heard that one, right? Our culture of availing wealth and power predominantly to men has failed us miserably in the long run. So I circle back round to my original existential question. What would the world look like if we understood God as a woman? What might be different? Women build bridges. Women dream wildly, expansively, daringly. Women are less competitive and more collaborative. Women have the strength to bear children and to bury beloveds, reinventing themselves as they go. We are made to love, and happily, that drive has not been bred out of us by rigid cultural norms and expectations. I would submit then that were women in charge of the world, our national anthem would quickly shift away from the words, "From the rocket's red glare to bombs bursting in air," and might then become something a bit more in keeping with our highest aspirations, something like the way we sing our children out every Sunday morning. May you go now in peace. May you go now in joy. May love surround you on your way. Blessed be.
We'll sing a song that is on the back of your order of service called Bread and Roses. In 1910, a woman named Helen Todd made a speech quoting a laborer who had said, "Bread for all and roses too." And this then became a poem and later was set to music and sung most famously probably by Judy Collins. So please rise in body or spirit, and I'll play the tune in case you don't know it. And remain standing afterwards for the benediction. Thank you.
This from the writing of Judy Chicago. And then all that has divided us will merge, and then compassion will be wedded to power, And then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind. And then both men and women will be gentle.
And then both women and men will be strong, and then no person will be subject to another's will, and then all will be rich and free and varied, and then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many.
And then all will share equally in the earth's abundance. And then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old. And then all will nourish the young.
And then all will cherish life's creatures. And then all will live in harmony with each other and the earth. And then everywhere will be called Eden once again. Blessed be.